Sanje Chudan Sojin Chonam La Shancho Pado Dana Josam Che Daka Shanso Jibi Sonam Je Dola Benjo Sanje Rubber Show Sanje Chudan Sojin Chonam La Shancho Pado Dana Josam Che Daka Chishi Jibi Sonam Je Dola Benjo Sanje Rubber Show Sanje Chudan Soji Chonam La Shancho Pado Dana Zhe Daka Shishi Jibe Tsonam Jen Dola Penchur San Jen Trabar Sho. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Wendy. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Geshe.
Yeah. Good to see you. Oh, yeah. That thing on the chance to tell my duty sort of in there. Okay, today we do a little bit review for you guys. Okay, I'm not talking. I just want to how much you can understand. 아니 땅도 사람님 본 거는마야 리제 투모와다 투모와 많이 요레스.
So from the beginning of the Heart Sutra, there is a two introduction, one common and one uncommon.
어치. 아니 대치다 디슈텔라야 아니 지 셔땅기 아니 딱거고. 아니 다 동반이 검서 셔땅 동반이 검서 너디시 요레스.
And then there is a short or abbreviated way of meditating on emptiness.
아니 대슈텔라 아니 다 아니 간제 동반이를 잡아도 강사한테 수고 아니 손남다 조남거 가서 값서 아니 동반이 검서 지송 요래.
And then it explains about how the practitioner on the path of accumulation and path of preparation meditates on emptiness.
And
that's called the fourfold emptiness.
And
after that, it explains how one meditates on the path of seeing.
And
how one meditates on emptiness and the path of seeing, and that is explained, with the eightfold emptinesses, and three doors of emancipation.
And the issue that gonam gaza tomanya pena gomsel pena, and it chije mandaba to rengar redu chigdajan yore.
And then after that explains how one meditates on emptiness on the path of meditation. Upon 65 or 66 different objects.
Okay.
So we have gone through up to that already.
Oh yeah, Tadalmata Chilage, but I think then in Dipalaya, any legitomovares, and then in Dipalaja and Chitomo my batteries, and then in Dortenteres, and then they Tatonum the Jonam Gatalach, Chosilapaya.
And so who wants to go ahead and explain, where in which part of the Heart Sutras talks about the common introduction, and which part talks about the uncommon, and which part talks about the abbreviated version of the explanation, and then which talks the practice of the path of preparation and path of accumulation and path of preparation, and then which part talks about the path of meditation on emptiness on the path of seeing, and which part talks about the practice on emptiness on the path of meditation. So if you know which part explains what, then later when you're reciting on a Heart Sutra, then you can think about that at that point. So, okay, this part talks about this practice, and talks about this. At this part, it talks about this. So it becomes easier for you to meditate on emptiness while reciting the Heart Sutra.
제가 대표는 거면 생각도 샤르니 몽골만 딴데 또 많이 시요래 사마데 코 시험되면 이제 어단 네 값은 내인다. 네 값은 내인다 하세. 고 따다다다 쓰시 고타와이나 아니 빼패도요.
And otherwise, of course, we just recite the Heart Sutra and saying that, oh, it all explains about emptiness, and then that's all we know about it. We don't know, which explains about what, So, but if you understand that, then it's more beneficial.
Okay. Okay, who like to do that? It's okay if you do mistake. It's no problem. Okay, yeah, Jennifer. Okay, other people, you can just very careful lesson for her. If all of you in a high course, if you agree with her, then you can support her. No, you say, oh, this is wrong after that, okay? Make sure, you understand, or maybe she understand, but maybe you don't understand. Maybe you understand, maybe she doesn't understand, It's good to, you can listen, what she explained, okay?
Okay.
One question.
Yes.
Should we have our copy of the Heart Sutra open as she's going through it? Is that better to do it that way?
Yeah, whatever you like. Maybe most people also memorize, right?
Oh,
And if Jennifer Charang think then in Depal and there, think Deshijam Goji, think then in Depal and Deshiris, then in Depan Deshiris and
Yeah, so you can say from which part of the Heart Sutra to which part it explains about this, and then from this part to this part of the Heart Sutra explains about this. From this part to this part, it explains about this. You can just say like that.
Okay. Good. Yeah, just go ahead.
Okay, just a guess here. Okay, so the common prologue starts with, thus did I hear at one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha on Vulture's Mountain together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. Then
Yes.
the exclusive prologue is, at that very time, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. And then the short presentation of the four emptinesses is when Shariputra, when Avalokiteshvara replies to Shariputra and says, form is empty, emptiness is form is not other than form is not other than emptiness. And then, so on the path of seeing, so on the path of accumulation and the path of preparation, that would be the short, but then continuing on, in the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like that, all phenomena are, oh no, then you get to the path of seeing when he says all phenomena are empty, that is without characteristics, not produced, not ceased, not defiled, not separation from defilement, no decrease and no increase. So that would be the eightfold emptiness and the three doors of liberation on the path of seeing. And then, let's see. And then on the path of meditation, he said, therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition, no factors, no conscience. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object to touch, no mental phenomenon. There's no element up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. So it goes all the way up to no attainment and also no non-attainment. So that would be the 66 emptinesses on the path to meditation. Did I say?
Okay. How did other people? Are you guys same or different directions? Bob, yeah?
I agree with most of it.
Okay, which one you don't think?
Things different. The abbreviated, I would say when the form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is not other than emptiness. That's the fourfold emptinesses, which is the path of accumulation and path of preparation.
Good job. Okay.
So, and the abbreviated one, I think, is before that. When he says, even the five aggregates are empty of inherent, we should look perfectly like this. Even the five aggregates are empty of inherent existence. But I think all the other things that Jennifer had, I agree with.
Good. How about other people? Deborah?
I agree with them. That's the easy way out. The only thing I possibly disagree is that my understanding was that everything that's been explained up to this point is for the slower faculty people, the duller faculty.
Yeah. This is true. Yeah.
And then is it the Gati Paragati Paragati is for
That's
the
good.
short faculty.
Yeah. This is true. This is you're right. Yeah. This is on. I'm not asking a question also, but yeah, this is good. This is a good one at that. Good. You guys look very good. Also, how about other people? You guys any argument? How about Paya? Are you follow same direction? Hey, Mark, where are you? Are you sleeping there?
No argument here.
I'm awake.
Yeah, this is good. This pretty good, Bob Catch couple and Jennifer doing pretty good. And Bob Catch, small things there is it's good. Now you can, okay, here talk about that, here talk about that, here talk about that. This is wonderful. If we understand like that, then it's a purpose to study Heart Sutra. We got something. Otherwise, we just emptiness. Talk about emptiness. Okay. Then anyone like to some add or some take out something? Okay. Look like you guys are good. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Deborah.
I wasn't clear about the introduction, which was the common, which was the uncommon. I didn't quite understand that.
Okay. Bana tumo wala na tata kanjur tenjur bar kanjur bana bum da bujim bum jide tasam chasang saming gol te yore te da tumo wala gres.
Candidate.
Bana
Marshall candidate tomorrow is good.
tumo ndekadaga tubachin chumden gelong gende chembo da chejotem gende tapjude yude sa tade tumo wales.
So thus have I heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgara on Virtual Mountain together with a great assembly of monks and great assembly of bodhisattvas. So that is the common one, the common introduction.
가르나 다대 아니 예전에 다 타민 걸 찍받치잖아요. 관계인 걸.
So that is common because it's common with all other sutras, like the Profession of Wisdom Sutra, like the extensive one, the middling one, and the short Profession of Wisdom Sutra. They all have that at the beginning.
다 되올랐다. 대대 좀 전에 삼모 나와시오 주민한테 땡기는 거 다 대 아니 다 도모 많이 말했어.
And then after that, at that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. That is uncommon induction.
가르서 나타 대조 아니 디갑자 아니 가로 셰레즈다 아니 샤리푸니 신질라베가 아니 땅 가로 따죠 내가 신질라베 jel라 그래서.
And so this is the Buddha going into that, going into the absorption, of the countless, the aspects of phenomena called profound illumination is like the cause, for blessing Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra to have the dialogue.
다 리지 같이 찾는 아니 좀 된데 신질랍 아니 샤리다 샤리드 텔라 요바치 아니 샤리드 트와티 두치마 요마다 콜리지 다 로지로 차로 리지 차서.
So that was the introduction part because and it takes it talks how it happened, how it unfolded, all this explanation of the Heart Sutra. So Buddha went into a meditation on the the profound illumination, and after that he blessed Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, and that's how they have this dialogue or discussion about the Heart Sutra, about the emptiness.
Okay. 남주 리지라다 그 로지라다 로지 쇼다가 쇼는 로로.
So the introduction or the prologue, it means like telling a story at the beginning how it happened, like a story or biography or story, a story about how it happened.
Okay, it's clear. Good job. 다 조동에 들어가신 바지겠어. 아니 좀 더 사모나와 시집에 추진하면 띵에들 세야 돼 가려 사모나라다 아니 추진하면 카 고에로 가려야 돼.
And so he says here, right, absorbed in a concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. So the countless aspects of phenomena and profound illumination, are they same or different?
Yeah, Jennifer.
추기 남단스래.
추진 남자 띵에서 딱가데 추진 남자서 가리고 사모나 사모다
사모나와 셰차웨 추기 남단게 띵들.
오야 다데
근데 추기
가리고
남단게 띵들 갈라 그래서 디 민라 근데 사모나와서 그래. 사모나와 셰차와서. 민코로 다 샤다 되네.
제대로 인지다 따다 고여야 돼.
다 그거라.
간지
근데
네
가서 사모나와 셰차웨 추기 남단게 띵들 추기 남단게 띵들 가르스나 딜라드네 민딜라드네 사모나와서 그랬어. 사모나와 셰차웨서 라이게 되네다 추기 남단게 띵들.
어다데 인지가 전에 이거 따보세요. 일단 비나 다가래서 미카시다데 저한 다음에 맨날 레코자 subject 또 띵에들라고 돈이 또 셔라 그래서 같이 두는 레전드를 자그래다. 이제 단데 응원에도 누수라시. 그 레와들 뭐다이. 간지 아니 동반일라 냠바셰비 추진은 뭐 띵에들 냠바시니까 띵에도 자타 못 보면 띵에도 지금 미래샤. 띵에도 지금 미.
아니 신다도 가르쳐 버려.
간데 좀 된데 사모나 안에 사모 다 사모대 동반이라 와.
네.
다 가리기 동면에나 추진 남자가 돈이 시작으로 와. 제가 대 간들 아니 된리게 돈이 또 혈압되게 미래마도 양 사모사 가같이 가로다 간지 내 셴바이 미세 과에서 개면 누스러. 간지
Yes, I
사모
mean, here it is quite clear, right? It says, so that countless aspects of the phenomena, so that is called profound illumination, right? So that profound illumination means like, it means like the understanding of emptiness, right? So profound is emptiness, and illumination means to be lightened, right? To understand it, to know it, right? So when we talk about that profound illumination, it is actually referring to the countless aspect, of the the phenomena called profound illumination. So that's the same thing, So, but some people they understand in a different way. That's why I'm asking.
아직 간들 안에 돈이 또베가 사모 동반이 또베 혈압 띵에다 마보 옆에나니 띵에 지기 미래에서 와. 다 되놓고 도.
So there are many different kind of concentration, that understands, the profound emptiness, therefore, then this is one of those concentration, called profound illumination.
배나 부모 웬디 라바이나 아니 웬디 뭐 웬디 딱 부모 뭐봐 되는 게 부모 무세와 지금이라 와 웬디라이.
So it's like saying there are so many women, right? But there have been so many women, and there's one woman called Wendy, among all these many different kind of women.
Okay? 오티선도. 다양 차상에 저같이 있어. 아니 좀 전에 사모 나와다 좀 전에 가는 냠바 샤샤와 말해. 다들 가르에서 저지는 저도 레카지가.
So it says like blessed one was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination, right? So he was absorbed at that time. So isn't he absorbed in concentration all the time?
쟤는 내 가질라고 그랬어.
So why is it said here?
Once you obtain profound illumination, aren't you in that state? It's enlightenment. I don't know.
What do you say? 뭐 갈라서?
그래서 상계차랬을 가되는 데 여버렸어.
알레. 상계차만 냠바 샤샤버리라 그랬지.
So because he is enlightened, right? He's fully enlightened, therefore he is always in concentration, right?
제가 내는 미세게 냠바 샤들 랍고 가질라고 했나?
And so why do you have to say he is in concentration? You don't have to say it. He is in concentration all the time. So what is the purpose of saying?
Okay, Daniel.
He's inspiring Avalokiteshvara to teach.
갈수록?
That's Papa Genesis Papa Genesis Chingla Papa Genesis the Tombani Deshi Joan should do in Chingla.
대고에스캠도 갈라오다 대치 라오다.
The teacher the dinner that thing in the number showers.
제가 땡기들 냠바 샤샤와이다 그 되게 대체를 하고 오면 다시다.
그래. 더 단다티 징글라비어서 대 샤기어스 라버스.
알레라. 오케이.
난 남주 샤샤버렸어.
Okay. That's good. Okay, Margaret.
Actually, I was going to say similar to that.
You can say similar then. You don't have to change it.
Part is called the uncommon introduction. By going into profound illumination, he blessed the mind stream of Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra to have this discourse of that is then going to be the Heart Sutra.
Yeah, that teacher the rest of it.
Okay, that's good. Okay, any other people? Jennifer?
Was he just showing the aspect of being in concentration?
Okay. Yeah, this is the real question, real answer. And kaja deja tumo solaya and nyambashi sun zebar much. Shada and that two shall nalo nyambasha bares. In a sholaya, that todo chindu chego and the tumo the water nyambasha no ko some was. Cheda and the tumo takaro nyambasha sun zebares or take ogure.
So Buddha is in concentration all the time, right? Right? He's in concentration all the time, but then he's talking, he's walking, he's doing other things. And at that time, people don't think that he's in meditation. No, he's not in meditation, but he's always in meditation. But during that time, he's not in meditation, right? But then, in order to show to the common people, then he went into that aspect of meditation. So what Jennifer said, right? So he's just having the aspect of meditation, to show it to the common people, to the appearance of the common people. Then they feel like, oh, he's meditating. Other time, they don't feel like he's meditating, but actually, internally, he's always meditating, always on concentration.
Okay.
So that's the right answer.
Okay, 제가 단다 제너다 말근이 세도 그 따다 연구다. 슬랍한테서 말어. 이제 다 시에서 신경을 치도 연구다.
Yeah, so what Danimal, is it Danimal? And Margaret, said, is correct, in the sense that because he went into concentration like that, then that's how he blessed, Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra to have the dialogue, of this question and answer about emptiness. Okay,
you guys good. Now everyone got it right. Got it. How you divide that verses, right? So
now you know which part explains what, right? Which part of the Heart Sutra explains what? So when you take the exam, will you be able to write it correctly now? So that's basically, what you have to understand, basic, just as the basic understanding. And of course, it is very profound, and there's so much, complicated or harder explanations, which I myself will be difficult, to explain. And of course, it will be difficult for you to understand either. So therefore, I didn't go into that complicated aspect. Just went to the basic explanation. So if you can have, this much of understanding, then that's good enough. And then I have also expressed the importance, of applying the emptiness, on the form first at the beginning. And that says, like one says, the form is empty. So there's a significance for that.
And Daniel Zoo da to Rajakanga and it range to be born. And it caro Zoo so and the Shindy Samakarote, Kunola Caro, Kunora Carote.
Pumbonga.
Pumanga water, Pumanga. What the level to look at Nangachari, okay, counter.
And so yeah, so the form here, has like the visible form, right? The olfactory, auditory, and the smell, taste, and all these are it's a form of a form, right? Form of a form. So it's like the form of a form. So therefore it includes all those, right? And then there's all this collection of all these forms. So the most of the time, the appearance, of the objects, that we have, like the things that we see, things that we hear, things that we smell, taste, touch, and so forth. All these are the things that brings up, our emotions, like the positive and negative emotions, right? And afflictive emotions. Therefore, once you understand emptiness of that, then it's easy to tackle, with those emotions. And then the same you apply to the other part of the other aggregates, like the aggregate of feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness. And so there is a reason also why we have to realize the emptiness of these 5 aggregates as well.
제자 던지려 배나 저나도 당 가서 배나 미자 봉으로 차셔 배나 당 가서 땀 미가래나 배나 잘라지고 폰도 보지 따와이나 당봉가도 폰데 섭다당들로 작으로 섭다 야본도 나로지 야보레스 다가 야마데 테마제 배나 미다고 배나 두론다고다 아니 가서 부봉으로 봤잖아 담보티 셜록 조들라다니 코 샘 차로요.
So, for us, mostly for the common people like us, we always, get attached, to the things by seeing it, right? When we see it with our eyes, like, the shape and the color, of the object, like whatever it is. It could be a phone, it could be a cloth, or even a people. When you see the other person, man seeing a woman, women seeing men. They see the shape and the color and all this, and because of that, then there comes the attachment and so forth, right?
제당간도 죽세당간도 참매건 통화대와 시대마다 대라자 간지 알아서도 내대는 장장라마 덴바트 통화자도 와.
And so those visible forms that we can see with our eye consciousness, as are the things that actually give rise to attachment and so forth. So when we realize the emptiness of that, then it's easy to overcome that attachment.
다 대용한테 아니다 마리바디 간호체계로 와서 대라치네 아니 레람라 사요르더니 좋아 대두다님.
And of course, what makes us to see the things in that way as attractive, as unattractive, and so forth is because of ignorance, right? And because of the ignorance, we see in that way, and then we create karma, in accordance with that.
제자 안에 두전에 배나 초와라 전에 간도 배나 초세 네가 초와라 제네 링하고 샤와 제장와라 아니 손은 많이 bel에 사사로.
And then same with the feeling, right? So we get attracted to certain kind of feeling, and then because of that, then we engage in the non-virtuous actions.
배는 간도야 레라 손은 빌레 손은 많이 bel에 메요레스 레숨 샤도 레숨. 아니 간도
So when we divide the karma, the action that can be divided into 3 different kinds, like the meritorious action, or virtuous action, and non-meritorious action, and then immovable action. That's called immovable action.
제다가 배나 손은 많이 bel에서도 조체인데 코네게 체대지 아니 지금 또그 땀좀 되는 지금 제대로 갈라 레사 대라는 손은 많이 bel에서 되게다
예, 성격도 말해.
응해서 제대로 차로 그랬어. 제가 레틴데 세데 코네 제대 레사도 봤다 되게 레티가 응해서 제인가요? 자는 손은 많이 bel에서 차로 그래.
And so any kind of the action or the karma created, that brings rebirth in the lower realm, is the non-meritorious actions.
제다 되지. 아니 다 나지가 또테 심하게 제다 아니 지금 딱 개vel레드에서 아니 손은 빌레서 차로 그래.
And then any kind of virtuous, any kind of action that becomes a cause to be born in the upper realm. Upper realm, higher realm, as the meritorious karma.
아니 드니 초하는 거 초와 따님 되는 이네 레사오가 아니 모여벨레사 사로. 다때 something 시와 인체. 아,
감고마.
아, 감 고민은 거 답 something 시와 인체라고도.
네. 감고마도 다 수감도 수면감으로. And so that's for the desire realm, right? So the upper realm and the upper realm in the desire realm, the upper desire realm, And then there is also the form realm and a formless realm, which is also upper realm, but there's a form realm and a formless realm, and those are the immovable action, immovable karma, and that becomes the cause to be born in a form realm or formless realm.
Hey, Kunjo.
Hi.
Hi, Gisela.
Hi, Gisela.
Say hello.
Hello.
Good night.
제 장아 가로. 제 장아 된대게 레사야 돼. 가나 소피. 아니 야무나 가도 옴부 고축. 야무나다 여축 텔라 되나 사디거다.
And so when we create a karma, it's mostly interrelated, with these the 6 different objects of the 6 different consciousnesses.
두 진에 레사자마 당가도 가도 땡데라 테마 다 그냥 레 가르쳐서 다 땡데라 주니거는 고안고에서 가서 진랍송아.
So when you create a karma in this way, motivated by ignorance or out of ignorance, and you create a karma, and then you leave the karma on the consciousness. So that's how we go through these 12 link-up-dependent originations.
두 저번에 마리바치 늦었지 셀레스바 섬데 섬로와
마리 본두지 남시.
마리바치
늦지 남시.
대 남시도 파피가서 마리바치 늦었지 남시더라. 셀레스바 섬
대도다들 두적이 레드.
제가 단조다 또 근주된 말했어요. 마리바치 늦었지 셀레스바 섬 대그 쪽에서 가로. 나치 나걸 두전에 가서
나자로 두전에 주지.
아니 담보대 선배들 마리바치 마리 늦지 남시 셀레스바 섬 대쪽라야 아니 근주된 바스 대 근주대 걸 판도고 요래. 그도 도바로 되나? 다 아니 대셴바 아니 쪽대 아니 동아대 거 수용도.
And so those 3 at the beginning, the ignorance, the volition or the karma, and consciousness, and then after that there's this the craving, grasping, and existence. So those are the true origins, and then the other 6 are true suffering.
제가 간제 다 코조 카레고르지나 텐데 도저 디나한테 데도 돈도 데다 아동 코와라 깨와라노 참말라 아니 우주다로 레자라 차네 레사 레제용가 아니 텐데 지나 텐데야로 주이고 코와라 코티네 용거여와.
And so when you think about how we circle in cycle existence through the 12 link-up-dependent origination, then you can think like this. So first you have the ignorance or any kind of delusion, right? And then that delusion causes you to create a karma, and then the imprint of that karma is left on the consciousness. And then when that karma is activated by this craving, grasping, and existence, then you experience the result in the form of a rebirth, and then you go through all the feeling, the sufferings of like birth and aging, death, and so forth. So that's how we circle in cycle existence through the 12 link-up-dependent origination. And so you go through the forward order in that way with the way you enter in the cycle existence, and then in the backward order it's like how you abandon the ignorance, and then when you abandon it, you abandon creating karma. When you abandon creating karma, then you abandon living it, living the imprint of it on the consciousness and so forth. So that way you free yourself from the cycle existence.
제가 가서 봐야 좋아요 봐. 다 마리바딘 가pen 되잖아. 다 마리바 망가나 땅가도 치니 다야 요 말에서 쇼치니 대레다. 옛날 양가라서 개회래 가 제바 참아 마리바 가야기 다 찾긴 도요.
And so last time, like Pyle's question about how can we stop the karma. So in order to stop the karma, you have to stop the ignorance. So as long as you have not stopped the ignorance, then there's no way you can stop creating karma.
임바이나 땅 알아서 계획을 강세바데 계획을 가르쳐 참아 가지 마리바 가야기 마리바 가야기 가지 찾기를 반로요래.
And so I mean, of course, you can't stop it right away, all at once by itself. So you have to do slow. So any kind of virtuous action that you can engage in can become a condition, to eliminate eventually, slowly to eliminate the ignorance.
Okay, 대마저는 가도 계획에 내쳐버려 진짜 대남에게 자로도.
And so if it doesn't become, then then any kind of virtuous action that we create will have no value.
그래서 단단하라서 네 꼴아야 돈이 제대로 돼야 머리방 가야 절 녹여.
And so even like now, the discussion that we're having also becomes a cause, to prevent the ignorance.
Okay?
Understand?
Yeah, you got it? 어째 제자야 가지고 계획을 어디다 두지 다 두고치네 땡데라 주니 거는 그런 거지 다 대파 디디체바나 아니 다 덴바신 담아들 덴바시 고송으로.
And then so this is how you circle and cycle through the two afflict of dependent origination. Then when you abbreviate that, then that can be abbreviated into four noble truths.
다 두고치면 나가서 동아란 제외 동아지 제외 차반등이다. 또 차반듯이 동아란 차바이나 가서 덴바지나네 동아 덴바세 때 가서 선별을 조용 거예요.
And so the four noble truths are the true suffering, true origin, true cessation, and true path, right? So then true sufferings, in order to understand the true sufferings, you have to understand the three types of sufferings. The suffering of change, and all pervasive condition of suffering. So when you understand the true suffering is when you actually understand the all pervasive condition of suffering.
제 안에 동아든 제외 동아도 샘제 들어도 마찬 땅 오셔거든요.
And so you know what I'm 말해.
제외 동아도 빼나 장도 빼나 샘제라고 진다와 많이 해주도 아니 고 깔래카네 야란 파로셔나 가지 코테 대님에 사실만 로셔 봐.
얘네 그 동아도 되는데 동아 그 무슨 거 말이야.
동아래도 개테마다 가지 코티 초와대 가지 마치와대 고 하고 했다 제외 동아 되는다고 그러. 가지 대화를 문전 받지 아니 되네 야한테 이런 보잖아 고 마대와 찬도마다 고 저서마다 고 제외 동아도 고 다니도 라트마다 가지 다 된다고 그래 간다.
그 또가 말다. 대도 맞아 또 하고라.
똑똑세고 말아 가지 다 콘도 가지
라팅
만도받지 그러 봐.
예, 만도 킹 말들라.
만도받지 고 야란 로셔. 만도받지.
그래 맞아 되는 나라 물고기도 나라 뭐라고 생각지 삼고 거라는데. 이거 동아 삼고 말아. 나한테 주로 동아라다. 그래서
네, 대도 시당 들어와 있는. 나도 상마들한 책 말해. 나 가지 되나 란 책에 대한 연구 열어 봐.
들으나.
배는 제외 동안 나라야나 배는 심진 들어이 봐나. 남지 참여 걸로 코님만 봐. 아니 야때 지나야 타는 봐안 주거든. 자 가지 코데 야 담보 코로 대화로 저지. 얘네 코 야때 되니마로 팔로로 왔다. 제외 동안 담보 대화에 받쳐 봐지. 얘네 동안고 코 대신이마로 팔로 다 동안고 언제로 다 제외 동안 나가러.
근데 그 또 말아.
또 세거나 가지 다 란책으로 가지.
라팅 말이야.
란책을 돼. 그 란책은 그 파트로 그래. 그냥 두 말해.
예, 그거 되다. 근데 하 먹어라 되다. 하 먹으면 다 죽도 거라.
제대로
그 만도 죽어라 되다.
그 만드는 데 이원 들어가다 그때 란책에다 가지. 그 똑세 타니 자야 먹으면.
일단 가서 또그 말 가서 가서게 돼. 나라 항복거든 나라 뭐라고 저상원에 주에 동어라. 나도 하고 매도 뒤를 주고 와라.
저 때다 라파로 참으로.
나도 내가 세대 삼아 주에 동어라다.
제가 야 돈조 양간조 세대도 양간조 예외 동안 배나 라파 참으로 와라. 딱 배나 라페에서 때까지 샘제 들어서 란책이 오라 가지.
예.
갖다 차선을 책 말이야. 가진 최단 제용 거예요. 그 다른 뭐 용서 봐.
And so so that's the first two sufferings, even the animals can understand what the first two sufferings are. But the third suffering, the suffering of all pervasive suffering, is difficult to understand. So when you understand that, then only when you understand the true suffering.
배나 라파도 올라나로 봐. 배나 제외 동안 라파도 배나 심지 들어온 거는 들리나? 야, 다 참고도 것도 제가 말어.
So the suffering of change, even the animals will understand the gross ones, but subtle ones, difficult to understand. Subtle suffering of change is difficult to understand. So even we human beings have hard time understanding the subtle suffering of change.
다 간다라 두 죄송한데까지 차반듯이 동아라 셈라 람체쇼나 아니 동아덴바서 등아도 란체고 다 간지.
And so anyway, so if we understand the true, the suffering of and the all-pervasive suffering, then then it's only when we understand the true suffering.
다 딘디게 아니 차원이도 하는 간제 사체 레니 온가 쇼베 알아두지 다 리다 셈들라 아니 가고 차원이 동아들 합쳐 그래.
So actually, it is this contaminated aggregate, of ours that is produced by the karma and delusion, and it itself, is a suffering. Right? So it's this all-pervasive suffering, and that to understand that as a suffering is very difficult.
얘는 간도대 동아지 정말 당한테 수보다 야보시면 내 자친 보시면 간도 자친 보시면 되게로.
So we don't understand that as a suffering. That's the conditional suffering, and because of that, then that conditions us to have this suffering. So we don't understand that as a suffering, and we always say, "Oh, I'm, my body is very good. My body is very good. My body is very beautiful and attractive, and so forth." That's why we don't see that as a suffering.
어제 다 동아들한테 그래 다 동아지 아니 용사게 싸워대. 다 마리바 미시바 근주사대 콜레테 스지 코바라와이나 아니 근주된 바스란테 용거.
And then after that, then you analyze, where this suffering comes from, and what is the cause for the suffering, and then you analyze that, and then also, this comes from the afflictive, emotions like attachment, anger, and so forth. So then you come to understand the true origin.
아도 전에 되니 누가 이제 근주에다 하고네 대빵아 요도메 두점라 빵아 요에게 내서 하고 좀 아니 고바세들한테
And then once you understand that, then you see, whether it can be overcome or not, the true origin or the delusions. And so when you understand that it can be eliminated, and that's when you realize the true cessation.
다 대우치는 고바한테 다 원한 고바데 가는지네 토건도 삼발라 아니 람냠세는 발았더니 고도 삼베 다 아니 소환이가 좀 아니 람데세데까지 람데세데 다 란테기로까지 셈라.
And then you analyze, how you can achieve, such kind of cessation of having ceased, the delusions and the karma, is through practicing the path, through meditating or practicing on the path. So when you come to realize that, then you have understood about the true path.
다 덴리게 다 람냠레 토데 다 가서야 다 손남거 가서 가리죠. 손남거 가서 가름 손남거 가데 랍고레세 오다 아니 주 아니 네 초에바 타마 아니 다 동만이 따고레세 그 냠레데 다 시는 거 봐.
And then in that true path, and it explains about how you practice meditation on emptiness, on the path of an accumulation, on the path of preparation, on the path of seeing, and on the path of meditation.
다 대가리나 다 주다 도로제티 땅을 가르나 주다 도로제달라 대 차비 차바야 뭐나 대 zemba 오게 간소 녀목을 내사게 와자 다 대랑지 마도 따고 그래 좀 고들만 지라도 태도와.
And so here, then it explains about how what you should meditate and the emptiness on. And says you should meditate on emptiness on the form, the feeling, discrimination, and so forth, because we get all these negative or afflictive emotions like attachment, anger, and so forth, independent, upon these objects, the objects that we see. We hear, we touch, and then the feelings and so forth. So therefore, we have to understand the emptiness, of those objects. Once you understand them, understand the emptiness, then you will realize, how things do not, exist in a way they appear to us.
제가 람댕원에 대다 아니 변나 zukrangji mataba tobelo an tholam tawate ta lamdengoni chagore ta te ani maripa ru dematave dentity kaptengoni chagore.
And so you start to meditate in that way, and you start meditating on emptiness of this form, how the form doesn't exist in a way they appear to. So only when you realize that, then you will be able to overcome the afflictive emotion towards the form, like attachment or anger and so forth. And an actual, the actual antidote is when you have realized the emptiness, of the form directly. And so when you reach the path of seeing, where you see the emptiness directly, and then that becomes the actual antidote, to overcome the delusions.
And
then from there onward, then you'll be able to stop the ignorance. And then you will be able to stop the karma. And once you have stopped the ignorance, then there will be no karma created. And then, then there will be no imprint of the karma to be left, on the consciousness. So there will be then it will stop, like one after another. Everything will be stopped. And then in order to have such kind of an emptiness, the direct realization of the emptiness, you have to have the mind that derives, or the wisdom that derives from meditation. And then, in order to have that, mind deriving, arising from meditation, you have to have the mind that arises from hearing, study. And in order to have that kind of mind arising from the study and contemplation, and you have to have this presiding mind, like having the faith in the teachings and so forth. And so that there has to be a mind that understands, or that has the faith and that understands that these delusions are bad and they can be abandoned. So most of people don't even know that these afflictive emotions like attachment, anger, and so forth are bad minds, and they have to be abandoned in order to be free from this suffering. They don't even know that. They think it's a natural mind, and that's how they are. And if it arises, then you should just let it arise. So, same with in your case, right? Before you studied the Buddhism, did you ever know that these minds are bad, or these minds are faulty minds? So, in the Western like culture or custom, do you ever pull out there? Pull out, or what do you call that? Unplug it? Unplug?
Guys, there are not many guys.
You shave only, you shave, right? You shave, but you don't all you call is plug it out, you pull it out.
Pluck.
Huh?
Pluck.
Plug, right? You plug it?
No.
So if you just move your hand around and just put it like that, is it considered bad or impolite?
Oh, really?
No, I don't think so.
Or like when you chew food on the both side of the gum, is it considered bad? Both the right and the left teeth?
Depends if you have molars.
Huh?
It depends if you have teeth in the back of your mouth.
No. So you have teeth on the both sides. Is it considered as impolite, to chew food on the both cheeks and the both gums?
So.
No?
No, it's encouraged.
Impolite if you open your mouth.
Impolite if you open mouth.
If you open your mouth when you're chewing, that's impolite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impolite. And talking. But the more you masticate your food, it digests better.
가지 카다는 pap짭짭짜서네 고 누가 찍마다 고수 누가 뭐 하고 뭐
그거를 도안하는 지 얼마래? 도안하는 데 칼라디나 데 당고나 데 지겨마 다른 게 플러스 하고서요.
쟤는 누가는 그 짭짭 사이 말이야 칼라서 pappap밥 사이
말말 카 소자도네 저 담바들라 소자바이나 아니 파주로 따야마 두저랑 직 사고서요.
그래 전부다 다까지 짭짭 사이 말이야
근데 윤재도 가래나 직 척바이나 지는
양은 다 드노제에 내서는 진짜 가지 짭짭 사이 말도 돼요 그미 맞다 그래서
랭게만 가서 데서 내가 저거 직 마살라 데도 그냥 믹단에 되고서 마다는 되는데 domba gore se jero. Yeah, so I mean, in some culture, right, like you said, in some culture, it's a bad. But there's, I think, I don't know exact reason why, but in the Vinaya for the monks, there is, the rule that when you chew food, you have to chew only on one side, and then while chewing it, if you move it to the other side, I think that's involved with attachment. Like you enjoy food so much, it's so nice, and then you move on this side and then you chew here. So that's not allowed. That's in the Vinaya, like the vows of the monks and nuns, is against them. So that's also like the vow. There's a reason for that. I think it's to do with the attachment. Then there's also vows like when you're sitting on a seat, you have to look before you sit. If you just sit without looking, then that's also a transgression of the vow. That's the reason is because somebody said without looking, and then there was a baby, and then they killed the baby, and then from that one, then it became a vow, to rule or the vow, discipline the vow, for the monks and nuns to look at on the seat or bed before you sit on it. And so usually, like when you are told that the bad mind is a bad, then you understand it's a bad. Otherwise, you just think it's a natural, right? And you don't even realize that it's a bad.
Okay, 제가 안에 나도야 내차 세당 그러서도 고 누가르다 고 매와 제 열세 뭐 알레 뭐는 뭐 제를 코도 생각하지 말아봤으면 신이 아니 고 도바서 그나 완도로 깨그러 봐.
So only when you have heard or studied about these minds, and then come to understand that yes, this is a bad mind and it can be abandoned, and then you realize, oh, it's not a nature of a mind, or it's a different, it's a separate from that. They can be, and then you come to realize, and then say, oh, now you can be abandoned, and then you come to realize that. Otherwise, before that, you just think it's the nature of a mind.
제가 당해진 랍게 조도 다 도치는 람댕원에 토발다 단단 가는 수치 개회 ben 어떤 내 야포래 내 야보면서 간제 개두고 빨리 제는 내가지나 야보 말에 아니 샴바다 제바다 니제 겁나 야포래에서 만도 드네요 와오단 둘로 타마 간제 마리방 가야기 간제 가르고 단 튼전 로요래.
So what I'm trying to say is that talking about the true path, right? So the true path is actual antidote to that grasping at true existence, or grasping at the inherent existence. So those but any kind of mind before that, even like understanding that delusion is a bad, or attachment is a bad mind, and so forth, it kind of contributes to realizing emptiness and to abandoning the ignorance.
Okay. 제당 알아서 간제 개회 샤바 강 제바지 많은 친구 집에서 마정 와이나 매도 집에서 마피나 가지 또 타마 마리방 가야기 가지 절 로요레스 오도스라고 다
So any kind of virtuous action that we engage in, like even making a offering of one single stem of flower, or reciting one mala of Om Mani Padme Hum, becomes a cause to abandon ignorance.
배낭도 캄바자 도주는 게 괜찮 스텝 담보대 이 캄바 골이야 가로 괜찮 골로야 고 자진 자기 열어 봐.
It's just like like if you are climbing a stairs to get to the top floor, every step of the stair contributes to reach to the top, right? Without going through one of them, then you can't just reach on the top, right? So it's just like that.
제가 해천솔라 샘시고 마셔야지 다 마리방 가야 다 또마닝에서 마다는 가게에서 말해서 대문에다 얘나야 나도 개회래 가저 tsama mariba ngayagi charchela ya rogi yores. Chesa nganzu kange chiri yore, digde yores.
So the actual abandonment, of like when you completely stop, creating and having ignorance or delusion is when you have realized emptiness directly. But even before that, whatever practice, positive actions that you engage in, or dharma practice that you engage in, becomes cause or contributes to abandoning the ignorance. So don't think that this is just a small practice and doesn't help much. Don't think like that. So every small practice, a virtuous action, becomes a cause or contributes towards abandoning of the ignorance.
Okay. Did someone raise their hand? Margaret, you raise your hand?
Jennifer.
Jennifer?
Thank you, Geshe. I had a question. When you say that, so in order to overcome the ignorance, we have to generate the wisdom, realizing emptiness directly. But in order to generate the uninterrupted path, the path of seeing, which is the actual antidote, to the, we can't, the basis can't be anything, right? I mean, we have to be, does the basis for realizing that emptiness has to be the Four Noble Truths? I mean, you can't realize the emptiness of a table and then become liberated, right?
예, 연구를 펴나. 예측했던 거 똥만이 거나 똥만이 강가 집어 찾을 아니 가로. 니뭐 지금 돈이 봐 되는 건지 돈이나 지금 가는 똥만이 도나 강가라 파 내려고 싶어 하고 그래.
Yes, if you realize emptiness of one object, then you can apply that easily to other objects as well, and to all the other objects,
Then why is then the exalted wisdom of meditative equipoise of the path of seeing, if you have the uninterrupted path, and then you have the liberated path, and then you have the meditative equipoise that is neither? What is the difference if you're meditating on emptiness in the meditative equipoise that is neither the uninterrupted or the liberated path? What's the difference between that and the liberated? What makes, that and the uninterrupted path? What makes the uninterrupted path the actual antidote?
그래서라고.
내가 발전 메람다 남들랑다네 되니 가라만 뭐 숨을 쉬어라. 아니 다 발전 메람데 다 원년 조데 발전 메람라. 뭐가 원년 조 증데 다 발전 메람데 때네 되게 다 텔레 넘버 텔레 더바나 된 남들 남스라. 아니 때네 다 남들랑데 야 라도네 때네 거다 되니 가라만 뭐 차르고라. 가래를 때 말해봤어.
야, 대리.
때나 다 되니 가라만 뭐데 다 원년 많이 뭐체. 아니 남들 나 발전 메람데 주고 다 원년 조인 가르치는 책 그랬어.
매매 발치 말하더니 발치 말하더니 전에 되게 고란 건 제가 남들로 톱사로 와. 디젤 냠바셔 냠자티가 아니 주마티가 아니 단도 그 주마티가 응인이 제토요 말에 아니 곧 또만 냠바샤도 셔만 해라는 발치 말 남들로 로사리 발치 말 말에 집방사리 주마티 코 갑자기 받자서면 고 이제 말했어.
디디가래.
근데 발치 말하면나 니니 쟤네 되게 좋은 남자라고 그러고 봐.
냠샤시더라다.
냠자시래 반다. 발치 말하면나 아니 얘딱
가래를 냠샤면 냠샤시래듯이.
쟤도 이따 얘가 또만이 가래 또만이 지는 냠바샤 그러 봐.
그래.
쟤도 대 냠바시 발치 남들로 줘서다 그런 걸 내가도 좋살다. 다 뒤에 처음에 남들로 지도 냠자시 때 그런 인이 제도고 말이야. 가리 주마데 판도토기 말이야. 고난을 판도고 그러 봐. 아니 그 남들한테 말이야. 그 남들한테 야 팔랑사리 가가 차들 봐. 뒤손하고 싶지.
뭐 내가 돈이 모스토베 셔라브라 셔거라.
돈이도 샤쇼.
네, 나 가래 냠바 셔거라듯이.
샤야 돈만이라 이 가래라 미나 샤쇼. 돈만이 남이 아니 덴바시 가래라 많이 샤쇼.
아마도 가르다 시립 고르구스야 되셔라다.
제가 대그 뒤에 대냠바샤네 아니 단다 시럽 라파티 이니 가디 로타바이나 아니 코다 받침나 차로 다 고나바샤 받차로.
So I mean there are different kind of uninterrupted path, right? As you know, there's an uninterrupted path of the path of seeing, and then there's uninterrupted path of the path of meditation. And then in the uninterrupted path of the path of meditation, there are like 9 different kind of uninterrupted path of the path of meditation, depending on the 9 different level of the obstruction to knowledge that is to be abandoned on the path of meditation. So let's just talk about the the uninterrupted path of the path of seeing, which is the actual antidote to the intellectual delusions, like intellectual Shariputra. Shariputra dici vor mare. Sharibe nyomo nyondukundara.
Henje.
Go golamra. Tholang gi chadi.
Tholang chima chema. Tholang da chima shidam ko shidam thara moboji shibaji da tejina ko kharda. Kan panya chishawa china na ko chima chima. Kunda sa. Kanje bache melo ina ko chingini gore. Tada de ngini chayo mare. Namdola yena bache melo thogore. Tel nam bache melo jutcho da bache melo mare ko ngini mare was. Namdola mare namdola ne la jetabla chen ani yanju patomanya nyama je bache melo mares. Namdola mares kanje.
Bache melo ready.
Bache melo mare nyamje bache melo en da bache melo ji tene namdola ji tene ani jetab shwara tene tomanya panya ta teniga korama ngedwa.
Really.
제 자가 바치 말로 말이 바치 말로 야랑 타버리 남돌라 말에 남돌라 야랑 타버리 제다 위시 말이야 고냐마 샤데 여다 바치 말라다 냐자 남돌라 카르마이 바데 차로
그래 다데 고
바치 말로 만지데 카르나
고니 지가 말했어
바치 말로 만지데 그 가인이 제토요 말했어
말해 다고 더 냐버 샤거라 더 냐버 샤거에서 돈일 냐버 샤거라 내가 돈일 동바지는 냐버 샤거 동바라 냐버 샤시 되게 되는 거 고니 지가 가르친 고니 지도
운이 제토마 단다 공운이 제발라 단다 아니 디바레 소는 것도 이시 도만 보서 운이 가디 제든 나는 고 바치말 차로 운이 제와다 바치말 차와 되냐고
So like let's talk about that uninterrupted path of the path of meditation, path of seeing. So when you have that path of the uninterrupted path of the path of seeing, that abandons the intellectual delusion, right? And so when you have abandoned that, then that's what you when you achieve when you have abandoned that level of the delusion, then you achieve the thoroughly liberated path, or the path of release, and after the uninterrupted path. So path of release, is the result of the uninterrupted path. So when you have abandoned.
So my question though is, you cannot generate the uninterrupted path of the path of seeing by realizing the emptiness of a table.
그래
더 가서 또 쪽대 땡기 돈용어서 또네. 아니야, 돈용어 또 불러 되기 때문에 다 받치면 차트고 말했어 거라. 돈은 받치면 차트고 말했어 거라.
차도 대 마셔 차도래 간제 안에 쪽대 덴바테베 대득 니니 chen 니니 요라 되게 니니 받치면 차로 거라.
Yes, it can become the antidote for that. So like it becomes an antidote to that delusion, grasping at the table as existing from its own side.
근데 쪽대 덴바도 대득이 열어와 대득다시.
So there is the intellectual grasping at the true existence of the table, right?
But if the 8 the Dharma forbearances and the subsequent forbearances are based on the Four Noble Truths, what does that have to do with the table?
제가 매매 대도 제다 요소 제도 걸 배나 쪽대 배나 덴바치 간다나 셴바도 그래 배나 쪽대 땅그 덴다 까다 범배당 카카죠 뭐 찍다나 바나 강간냠 바로 그래 근데 제다 람 냠서 제 덴바젤라 전에 냠서 람당 짜니 고용 걸마다 아니 쪽대 땅가 아니 덴다 끝다 바치말라 전에 셴바 제마도 등한도 치치 샤치네 요 말에 근데 고고요 말에
So when you realize the emptiness of one object, you realize emptiness of other objects as well. So when you abandon, the grasping at the true existence of the table, then you abandon grasping at true existence, our like the intellectual, grasping at the true existence of other objects as well. So when you apply that, you can apply that with the Four Noble Truths, the forbearance, and the 8 forbearances and the 8 the knowledges and so forth. But you can't say you can't pause at one object and say, okay, you have not realized emptiness of this object when you have realized the emptiness directly realize emptiness of other objects. You can't posit one object and say you have no realized emptiness of this object.
간제에게 변해 조제 땡게 대서 그다고 인이 영역이 받체 멜로 아니 변한 돈을 받치면 많이 샤가도 샤도 말이 샤라고 말이
조세 호란 치부기.
조 변해 조제 땡게 아니 다 대서 그다고 인이 연받치 아니 돈을 받치 많이 샤치 시간도 샤라고 말이
So there's no way you can pause it, under the part of seeing, that is not, the antidote, to the grasping at the true existence of the table.
예샤잖아 제가 대전 돈을 받치면도 되게 쪽대도 범바다 까와 관계인 건 대서 그다고 인이 차르고
So the wisdom realizing emptiness directly, of the path of seeing, becomes an antidote, the antidote, to all that intellectual grasping, of the true existence of the table, of the pot, of the pillar, of the, the ceiling, everything.
예전에 전화번호 조제 땡게 대마도 대서 그다 열어왔다.
So there is an intellectual grasping at the true existence of the table, right? Is there?
제가 팅인이 열어왔어.
And there is antidote to that also, right?
제가 팅인지 대전을 받치면 다 레면서 조제 카카 내 조제 그 카카 샤오마.
So what will be the antidote? What will be the antidote, to that intellectual grasping at the table as existing from its one side or existing truly? It is the antidote part of the path of seeing, right? So there is there's no other than that. You can't say, okay, so this is this and antidote, this the antidote part of the path of seeing is the antidote to intellectual grasping at the true existence of the table, but not a true and not antidote, to the intellectual grasping at true existence of pot like that. You can't say like that. So that's the logical way, of thinking.
제가 열에 땡기 전화 다시 당근도 와. 내가 그다 해도 말했어.
So I'm debating with you now. So is that an antidote? And the antidote part of the path of seeing, is that an antidote, to the intellectual grasping at true existence, of the table?
아니 대전 돌아남달라고 빵거도 빵거 말했어. 내가 그다데.
So that kind of grasping, right? That kind of intellectual grasping at true existence of the table, is that abandoned by the uninterrupted part of the path of seeing or not?
I don't think so. No, because aren't the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing for instance the 112 the afflictions associated with the various realms.
다 마바나 차더니 대전 돌아 남들랑 마법이 맞아 끝나지 여러분.
The monastery that the Nyamojada, Nyodijada, Juni Shagoras.
Yeah.
This is how honest.
that's 코가나 코 카카가 제주 카카가 하는 로고 여러분. 제가 대전으로 남들랑 코 찍으러 봐. 그 노도 시작해 봐.
So when 그래 나도 참마방에서 그래.
되게 제가 대전으로 남들랑 차다 한 번으로 여러분.
남들 대전으로 남들 더도거나 대전으로 가서 때 여도 준 참방사래.
차다 번으로 그래서 다 가로 보면 동아 치시도 근주시 코 카카잖아요. 카카가 샤야로.
대가르지.
제가 다 동아 치시다가 아니 동안 도보니 뭐야? 근주 도보니 못 방금 말아. 근주 치시다가야 근주 도보는 고바도 못 방금 말아.
So when you apply that, the four, the 8 forbearances and 8, the knowledges, in relation to the 4 noble truths, then you're referring to this particular object, right? So of the true suffering and the true origin. Then of course you can say like that. But in general, when you say uninterrupted path of the path of seeing, that is an actual antidote, to the intellectual grasping at or acquired grasping at the true existence, of the table, pot, everything. And so when you have when you achieve the path of release, of the path of meditation, then at that time you have already abandoned, all the intellectual grasping at the true existence, and intellectual grasping at true existence of every object.
Okay. That's good. Good debate na. Yena ya bena. 나도 태제도로 바시하면은 그 로도 들어 도도 치들어 봐. 남도는 도도 들어 봐. 제가 되게 마파에 들어와 가서 샤토고 말해.
So when you break it down, or separate, with the four benches or the eight, four benches and eight, knowledges, then it's different, But when you say in general, like just the uninhibited path of seeing, and there's no intellectual or occurred, delusion that is not abandoned, by uninhibited path of seeing. Sorry.
대마전에 지난 리파가 노그래. 제가 태전도로 남도라고 마파에까지 내는 그자 샤기쳐 그랬어. 간나 범배되게 범바데마도 내는 거다지. 근데 되게 내는 거다 인연이 저는 요 말이다. 가와야 돼. 세로 말.
And so then, if you say like the path of release of the path of seeing, the path of release, or the path of seeing, has not abandoned, not abandoned the intellectual or occurred grasping at true existence, then you'll have to go and find, something, find another antidote, to abandon that delusion. So when you think like that, you will not be able to find anything.
Okay. 다 되지. 다 두제 삼다 야보도 주대 다 가도 타마데만 비샤긴다. 다 이심에 토범에 마토범에서 말랍샤긴다.
Okay, so now we're going to move forward, on the Heart Sutra.
근데 다 무긴 타마들 하대요. 고밤에 람에 이심에 토범 마토범에 매도서지와. 다 이심에 세야데 다 람. 야무나 레워. 야무나 동만인가도 또벨 이시 대야 안에 라지트 바요 말했을 거고 그래서.
So this is no cessation, no pause, and no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment, right? And so no exalted wisdom. So the exalted wisdom, is the path or the wisdom. Even those, it doesn't exist from their own side.
하나씩 다 딩해라 톱 생기게 여대도야 아니 톱봐야 매도선 알아와 아니 톱봐야 톱 매서도 가진 톱 생배 여대도야 라지트 바요 말했어.
And so the no attainments, means like those, that you have attained, all the knowledges or realizations that you have attained before, also do not exist inherently.
아니 마토바야 메도세도 다 아니 마오바 토야지 그랬나 사제지 집에나 아니 얘들도 아니 라지트바요 말했어.
And then also no non-attainments. Non-attainments are, the attain, like the Buddhahood, and so forth. That we have not attained. Even those, do not exist inherently. And so that's what it means in general.
Okay. 이심에 도밤에 마토바야 메도세도.
So no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment.
다 디슈고들 다 사제들 다 산이슈마데는 가서 상까지 제고 되고 싶다.
So after that, it's attaining the Buddhahood, and then from there it talks about how we attain Buddhahood.
다 뒤에 가서 다 안에 이게 소람다 조람가들 람랍랍서 고람가 가들 토람가 랍서 고람가 랍서 다 몰람랍서 다 사제들이.
And so after that, we have already talked about how do we train or how do we practice, on the path of accumulation, path of preparation, and then how to train or practice on a path of seeing, and then on the path of meditation, and then after that, the next one is the path of normal learning.
Okay. Now you guys also more discussion. Think of that. Okay. Think a good thing for the Jennifer's and doubt. This is a good doubt. You have to doubt. You have to talk. Then you can 가로 계속 먹으셔나니 도바 세로로.
So you have to talk. You have to have a discussion. Then you will be able to clear the doubts.
제가 나처럼도 저와지 난도지 뉴모 산지 빵거래 왜?
So I have a question. has Buddha abandoned the delusions in our consciousness? Has Buddha abandoned the delusions in our consciousness or no?
So, yes, no.
Yes.
Yes, no. Yes, no.
He has abandoned his own delusion, but not our delusion.
So Buddha has not abandoned our delusions?
Only we can abandon our own delusion, right?
No, just say yes, no. My question is yes, no.
He's abandoned all delusions.
So hasn't Buddha abandoned all the delusions?
Yes.
So Buddha has abandoned all the delusions, yeah? Therefore, he has abandoned our delusions too.
Yeah.
So if Buddha has abandoned our delusions, then don't we have delusions in our mind? Because Buddha have already abandoned it, right? Okay, now that's just a a topic created for your discussion.
I have to go another Zoom. Okay.
Thank you, Geshe.
Okay, you guys, slowly discussion to finish. Okay.